Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Pearls and Politics Podcast, where we are polished and poised for greatness and impact. My name is Kahala, and I'm your host. Well, as we all know, Pearls and Politics Podcast, it's for everyone, but of course, we love women of color and communities of color here on the platform, and we want each and every woman and each and every family living their absolute best life. So today, we have a very special guest that's near and dear to my heart, the wonderful Dr. Kelly Edwards, who is my nurse practitioner and keeps me all the way together.
Hello everyone. Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So happy to have you here.
It's a blessing.
I am so happy to have you here. Typically, we do introductions and all those wonderful things. And then I typically ask people, like, how do we know each other? Mm-hmm. But as I stated, you are my nurse practitioner. Mm-hmm. And I've been with you for years now. Mm-hmm. And when I tell y'all, she keeps me all the way together. Mm-hmm. She keeps me all the way together. So today we want her to help keep all of us together.
Yes.
So tell us all about yourself.
Well, first of all, I am from St. Louis, Missouri, born and raised. I became a nurse in 1989. I started my career in adult medicine. Mm-hmm. I was an ICU nurse, and then later on, I went back to school and became a nurse practitioner. I worked with the fabulous Dr. Jacqueline Turner, who was my trainer and my mentor, mm-hmm. who picked me up when I was in internship. So I worked with her, was with her for 22 years until she retired. And so currently, I work in women's health. Absolutely love what I do. It's a blessing to go to work every day. I don't have bad days. I look forward to going there every day and taking care of the women of St. Louis. So I'm affectionately known as Dr. Kelly. Mm-hmm. I see people out in the community. It's a joy to know that I've actually had a positive impact on many women in the city of St. Louis. And also, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 4 girls totally.
Girl mom.
Yes, girl mom. My husband and I have been together for 30 plus years, and we're still going strong.
Love a plus.
Yes. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you. You absolutely have touched the lives of many women because mm-hmm. I know you've touched my life. So as you mentioned, Dr. Turner, mm-hmm. she is why I came mm-hmm. to Western OBGYN. She was referred to me. Mm-hmm. I had another OB. It was a gentleman. He's now retired and moved on to other things, I would imagine. But it didn't gel for mm-hmm. me. And I knew once my husband and I conceived, that was my thought process. I said, well, while we're trying, I'll stick it out mm-hmm. over here. I said, but when I conceive, I want to transition to mm-hmm. another doctor. And I'm going to be honest, I wanted, of course, a woman, and mm-hmm. I wanted a woman of color. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Turner had so many, people in the community that just loved her. Mm-hmm. Luckily, she was taking patients. And then that's how you and I got connected because you were her nurse practitioner. And the two of you just provided mm-hmm. just the most amazing mm-hmm. level of care. Like, I don't want this moment between us. I would be remiss if I didn't mm-hmm. express that. Mm-hmm. I will never forget when Dr. Turner delivered my baby, even when she was off, mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, mm-hmm. And Dr. Rutledge, she did that for me mm-hmm. again. And so I'm like, I must not be that patient that people hate.
Mm-hmm. Because no, you were because you were responsive. We've always been interested in the more than just the breast and the booty. I said your breast and your booty. So women's health is, it's so many different things when you talk about self-care. And when you see me as a patient, we're going to talk about self-care from the standpoint of mental self-care, mm-hmm. spiritual self-care, your physical self-care. And yes, I'm going to get into intimacy. Are you in a healthy space from an intimate standpoint? Your social life, is that a healthy space? Your environment in which you live, is that a space that promotes self-care. So it's about 9 different things that I try to touch on. I even talk about your career, like how you make your money.
You do.
Is that someplace where you feel like you're in a well space? So self-care for me, when I'm taking care of women, it's so many different domains. And if we have the pleasure to be with one another year after year after year, I pretty much can tell if things are kind of off in one of the domains of self-care. And again, like I said, self-care for your mind, your soul, your spirit, the work that you do. I'm going to talk to you about your finances, economic, because all of these things will affect a woman's well-being and how healthy she perceives herself to be. So we get into all the stuff.
You do.
All the stuff.
And when we came into contact, I just remember thinking, she is so pretty. And that representation matters. I don't care what anybody says, particularly in healthcare, particularly when it comes to Black women, because we already know the disparities and the things that exist. And part of our reason for being here is to help tear that down. And I just remember, I'm like, oh, she has natural hair and she's so pretty. And, you know, she asked me questions and she really wants to know how I'm doing. And I just really have always appreciated that about you, Dr. Turner, and the practice, and Dr. Rutledge. Like I said, she takes excellent care of me even now. And I just wanted you to know that what you're doing, it matters in the lives, not only my life, but I can only imagine in the lives of all the women. And I don't want you to ever think, not that you don't, but sometimes it's good to hear that you are just amazing at what you do.
Thank you. And you're amazing.
Dr. Edwards.
So I feel like a lot of women have many amazing qualities. So I'm always looking to have that exchange of amazing energy. And if you don't feel you're amazing, by the time you leave, most people say that they feel amazing, because that's kind of what I want to impart, is that whole spirit of positivity and amazing. What do you call it? Wonder World. What's your episode called today?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Yeah, being a Wonder Woman. Yes.
So you said you started out in a different area and then you transitioned to where you are, and you kind of gave us already like a reason why, but what was your why in coming over to women's health?
You know, I would say this, Dr. Turner chose me, honestly. I was an adult ICU nurse, where you deal with high levels of illness, sickness, disease, death, dying. And honestly, someone put us together. Okay. It's a lady that I know said that you need to go work for my doctor. Do you know Dr. Turner? And I was like, I don't know her. So when I came with Dr. Turner, I'm just a good student. And I really felt like this is my last rotation. I'm probably not going to do women's health. Let's just check this box off of there. So after week 2 with Dr. Turner, she says, I think you would be really good at this. I was like, really? She was like, yes. And I would love to hire you when you're done with your training. I was like, straight up, you know? And then she was like, yeah. And I went home and talked to my husband, and I was like, she wants to hire me. So I had to stop, and I said, sometimes people will see something in you, something great that you never even thought that's what you would do. And I just took a chance with Dr. Turner, took a chance with God. I said, I'm just go ahead and I'll give her 1 year. I'll give her 1 year and see if this works out. But it's been 22 years. So I feel like God placed me in the place where I was probably needed the most.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
That's how it came together.
That is a great story. And like we always talk about how things can relate, how people can relate universally. I feel like that people can attach to that story and just really apply it to whatever it is that, whether it's business or whatever, being at the right place at the right time, and then actually recognizing that and saying, okay, we're just going to walk through this door. And then, like you said, 1 year turns into 22, which turned into thousands of women that have been blessed by you.
And the thing that is really, I see me, I'm always able to see a part of me in the faces of other Black women. So not that I don't care for the white women, because I have a lot of white women that I see too, that
absolutely
it's really, they're like, oh my God, I can't wait. I've been trying to get in to see you for the last 6 months. And a lot of times it may not be a devastating physical illness. It's just that women like to connect on an intimate level. And so I feel like that's a talent and a gift that was given to me. I think God-given, I believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what is it, how important, because you talked about the breast and the booty, how important is reproductive and breast health for women? Because so many women, they don't go for their mammograms. My mother was one of them. They don't get their annual well woman checkups. But how important is making sure we care for the breast and the booty?
Okay. So I always say something like this. You want to live, right? You want to live, right? You want to live, right? Oh, yeah, I want to live. You want to be at your best that you possibly can be. Yeah, I want to be at the best I possibly can be. But unfortunately, with Black women, we have so many other things that's going on in our lives that may keep us from taking care of some of the basic things. But I will say this, a woman will come to see me about her cooch and not go see her primary care about her blood pressure. I see it every day that women, if it doesn't hurt, then you're gonna like maybe brush it under the carpet because you got other things that you're concerned with. But as Black women, unfortunately, if something bad is gonna happen, it's gonna happen more at the 10th power in us than it would to our white sisters. So it's so important to take care of the basics. Coming in once a year, getting your annual checkup. If you're coming to see me or whatever provider that you're going to see, they should be concerned with the whole you, not just your breast and your booty. I want to know, when have you had your eye exam? Have you been to the dentist? If I see marks on you, what is this? How long has that been there? I noticed that I look at your feet. A lot of women don't know that I look at their feet.
I did not know that.
Yes, I look at your feet to see that your nails do not appear that you have circulatory disorders. I'm looking at the integrity of your skin, your lower extremities. Have you talked to your primary care provider about this? So it's so important because we're more likely to suffer the devastation of disease more so than white women if we do not take care of our business. And going to get yourselves checked out once a year. Go get yourself checked out once a year. And the things that I look for, or we should be talking about, yes, I mentioned eye exams. I mentioned dental health. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of disease can happen just from poor oral hygiene. That it affects your heart, it affects your gastrointestinal system. Definitely you need your own primary care. Ladies, I'm not your primary care. I know I will order all your labs for, dibble and dabble in a lot of different things, but you need your own
I'm guilty.
primary care provider. Go into Total Access. I don't knock them. I'm glad that they're there. But a lot of women go to urgent care. Urgent cares are not following your story.
Absolutely.
They're not going to pick up on, you know what, you've been here 6 times in the last 2 years, and all 6 times you've had blood in your urine. Have you seen a urologist? That can be a sign of bladder cancer or kidney disease, just having blood, microscopic blood in your urine that gets missed if you're only going to urgent care. So I always try to stress that you need a primary care provider. Checking in with them and then checking in with your women's health provider so that things are not missed. Because we want to live. We want to live well. I don't know about you, but I want to be 75 and able to do the electric slide if they're still doing it. But I want to be able to walk and move and be healthy.
Absolutely. Dr. Kelly loves to dance, and I do too.
I do too, yes.
Well, I'm guilty first. Or very early on in the podcast, actually. I'm guilty already. I have been blessed with good health. I'll never forget Dr. Turner telling me one time, well, as usual, you're the picture of health. And I received that. And I do. I go every 6 months to the dentist, and, I go to the eye doctor, probably should more often. I need to go now. I go, a lot of Black people don't. Every single year on Veterans Day, I go to my dermatologist for a full body scan. I've never tanned. I've never, I don't really do outdoors, but I have 3 kids, right? And I'm like, everything that I need to check out, I do not miss my well woman, and so my mammogram, I just had it last week. Yes, you got my results last week.
Yes.
And we are thankful that everything was great. So I try my best. But I absolutely need a primary care physician. I absolutely do.
Yes.
So but you talk about what we need to do, why don't we do it? Like I just mentioned, my mother, she's now a patient of yours, hadn't had, her annual in over 20 years. So after my father, 20 years on June 1st was the anniversary of my father's passing. A very aggressive cancer that took him really quickly. Then a couple years after that, my husband passed away, right? And so they were very close. So she just had all of this loss. They went to doctors. They did all those things. So she just kind of gave up. And so I forced her. I called Dr. Rutledge and was like, hey, are you taking patients? And now she's your patient. But why do we not take care of ourselves the way we should? Why don't we go?
I find that sometimes people are afraid. They're afraid. I always like to say, I'm afraid of not knowing, because I like women that have lumps, and I'm like, you've had it for how long? What kept you from going? I was afraid. So I always like to say, sometimes in some things, I'm more afraid of not knowing, because if you know some things about your body, you have a chance of fixing it and you won't die from it, hopefully. Also, there's a lack of trust in the healthcare community. People feel like, I'm not going to give those doctors all my money. I'm not going to be a guinea pig. Sometimes people are suffering from emotional, like depression, anxiety that keeps people away just because they have mental illness. It's a lot of different factors. And also in the lower socioeconomical Black people, we're so used to hoping and praying. I'm hoping and praying. I'm hoping and praying I don't get pregnant. I'm hoping and praying I don't have cancer. The hoping and the praying mentality will keep people away. This because taking care of your health, that was like a luxury, historically in the Black community. Going to the doctor, you went when it was so bad that you had to go. So maintaining and preventative health is not something that is passed down. You have to teach your children that we're going to, not just when you're sick, but that's when, most people are used to going when they're sick, when there's a problem. But we have to build a new culture that you want to go when you're well, because you want to maintain, you want to maintain your health. And that's where the power is maintaining your health, as opposed to waiting till you're sick, or hoping and praying nothing happens.
Right. And so thankfully I can, check that box with generationally making those changes. My kids, it's second nature now. Oh, we go to the dentist. We just went to the dentist this week. And, we get our physicals every year, even though they're required for sports, we would go anyway. But how do we get that generation before us? So we've changed it for our children, but we love people that are a little older, a little more set in their ways. How do we get them? Because I just forced her, right? But that every mama is not going to let you force them. So how do we encourage our loved ones?
So sometimes if a person knows, first of all, we have to convince them that they have a safe place to go. So if you were to say, I have someone that I know that they're going to take good care of you, that's a start, like giving them hope that they can go to a safe place. Sometimes some people are fearful that if they can go someplace with someone, I'll go with you. How about if I go with you? Will that get you there? Sometimes the fear can work. I've been able to scare people into doing the right thing. So sometimes if money, a lot of people don't know that BJC, I'll just say this, BJC does offer a lot of financial assistance. And if you are our patient existing and you lose your insurance, you still can come and see me. Actually, we're one of the fewer offices. If you don't have your copayment, I don't want to make this a thing, but we're still going to see you. Most good practices will still see a existing patient, if they don't have the ability to pay. So letting them know that, you may not be saddled with very expensive bills from this. There's different labs that we can send things to if money is an issue. So I feel like you have to figure out what is the hesitation. Sometimes people are just afraid. Well, what exactly are you afraid of? Sometimes people are afraid of dying. That they're gonna tell me something that I'm gonna die from. I always say, but you know what? You're probably gonna die faster if you don't go. We have a chance if you go and we can get things checked out, and maybe that fear won't be a reality. So, if you're talking to someone who's fearful, you have to figure out what's the real fear, and they may need somebody to help them.
Well, I hear me in a lot of what you said. So I go, obviously, but just like last week when I had my mammogram, like I had a biopsy in 20, and I think that just like scared me forever. So every mammogram before that was fine. Then in 20, I need a biopsy, and I'm breastfeeding with my youngest. So the biopsy hole like had blood and breast milk coming all out of it. And I'm just like, and then I had to wait on the results. And so mammograms were already sweaty armpits and whatever. And so when I went last week, even though 20 was fine with the biopsy, 21, 22, I'm still sweating, right? I'm still like, I hate doing this every 365 days, but I'm going to keep doing it for my kids, right? This year at 45, and when I go see Dr. Kelly, she keeps me, she's like, oh, yeah, so I see 45. So we need to schedule you for a colon. I was like, I was hoping you wouldn't say that, right? Yes. Because when I tell you the dread of this colonoscopy, I'm just like, okay, Jesus.
And so I would say, so what are you most afraid of? So I'm going to say this. One of the things that I do, I'm a health advocate.
You are.
So, or I'm a health coach, if you will. There are some health coaches that are out here that if you have health questions and you're not sure how to navigate, you can always reach out to a health coach to kind of get you to where you can get things done. Our job is to take the fear out of things that are necessary.
So we have no history of colon cancer or anything like that in my family. It's just, I don't know what the fear is, to be quite honest, but it exists and it is there every time I think about, okay, I gotta go and the results are gonna be fine. Like so I think that's more it than anything, even though everything, I mean, I've had everything from MRIs to CT scan, nothing has ever come back unfavorable, right?
Well, sometimes people are worried. Well, they have a little bit of worried wellness, that what if something would happen, or what if something could happen. And then also I think with women in general, the back door, the rectum, the colon, that's a scary place for a lot of people. They're going to do what? They're going to put what in where? Yes, but they're going to knock you out with some great drugs. Propofol and Versed, it's the best. That's what Michael Jackson was using for sleep. Is propofol. It knocks you out, and when you wake up, it's like the best sleep you've ever had. So, it's not as scary as most people think it is. I've had it, and just so that everybody knows, health providers, we're some of the worst patients, as far as keeping up with their appointments. When I have to have things done, I have to really analyze, do I really need to have this done? I'm usually a little late getting mammography. I get it done, but also I have to still stress to women, please check and know what your breasts, what they feel like. Know what your girly parts look like. Because if I see a lump or a bump, I'll say, well, how long has this been there, girl? I don't look down there. I'm like, just like you look at your face, look at your cooch, make sure that the cooch is looking right to you. You shouldn't have to come to me a year and a half later and I see something and you're like, I don't look down there. So, we have to be not afraid of our bodies.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
when I lived in Indianapolis, Dr. Christine Boland was my OBGYN then by my late husband. And I've always been, like, I used to suffer from hypochondria. I don't anymore. I was delivered. Okay. But everything. I went to the doctor for everything. Oh my God, what is this? What is that? What is this? And my OB in Indianapolis was like, Kahala, if half of my patients were half as diligent, I mean, you will notice anything. She said, my job would be so much easier. And so that's just always been my thing. And so I'm just trying, like you said, to live my best life, to live it healthy, right? Because I always say I'm gonna live to be 98, right? But I don't want it to be an unhealthy 98 where I'm like, well, I'll be glad when 98 get here. No, I want to be living, what you say, doing the electric slide, helping raise my grandkids. And I've got to see my children become adults. And so that's why I try so hard to maintain and do what I need to do.
Well, you said it. You said fear. So anxiety and running to the doctor for everything, that's a fear factor. So fear will make you go too often for every little thing, or fear will keep you away. So, tackling the fear is like very powerful in a lot of things.
Yes. And thankfully I'm in the middle now. Like I said, I don't run for everything. And probably because for so long things turned out well, right? So then it was like, oh, okay, well, I can relax now. And so then with age and maturity, right? And then focus priorities. Like I can't run every 5 minutes because I got to take my kids every 5 minutes now. But I really feel that I have settled into, okay, this is a healthy space, but let's maintain that.
So now that you're talking about this, it brings me to something you wanted me to mention. I often talk to the 2-week rule, because you learn this in when you're doing your training. So generally speaking, if you have a new symptom, let's just say diarrhea. Well, maybe you ate something that did not agree with your system. You're having diarrhea. It's pretty impressive. If it goes away within 2 weeks, it's probably fine. But if you are still noticing that there's a change in your bowel pattern, you're having abdominal cramping, it did not resolve, you have to go get that checked out. If you have a headache, you've never really had headaches before, maybe it is stress, maybe it is the new computer, maybe you do need glasses. You've tried to, get a prescription, or you adjusted something on your computer, the resolution, and maybe you try taking Tylenol. But if you're still having headaches and you've never had headaches before, after 2 weeks, you probably should get that checked out. If you are having, ideal in the lady parts, the cooch. If you got a lump and a bump and it's getting worse and it's past 2 weeks and it's still lumpy bumpy, probably need to come in and get it checked out. A rash on your body. Most benign rashes will clear up within a week or two. But if it's ongoing and you still have a body rash that did not go away, you should get that checked out. So generally speaking, most benign illnesses will clear themselves up and you'll be back to normal within 2 weeks. But if it's not, then it's probably like a cough. Yeah, maybe you do have allergies. Maybe, we just dealt with the coronavirus. But after 2 weeks, we need to be getting things checked out. So with a primary care provider. Preferred.
Not with your OB, not with your gynecologist, with your PCP.
Yes. And if you don't have one, if you have a gynecologist, most of us will help facilitate getting you an urgent appointment. It never hurts to call and ask someone. They always say, I'm going to ask Dr. Kelly. It never hurts to ask someone that you trust, hey, this has been going on. I know this is not what you do. What do you suggest? I'm always given that type of advice. Yes, you need to go get this checked out. Can I come and see you? If you're my family members, no. That's one thing that you shouldn't doctor on your family members.
Absolutely. So how can we become your patient?
You can reach out to our practice is BJC Medical Group, West End OBGYN. We're at 1110 Highlands Plaza East, right at the intersection of Hampton and Oakland. You would just go look up the number. You can look up the number because BJC has very specific rules that if they're not sponsoring this event, you have to find me. You have to look me up. So, and if they tell you that I don't have a appointment time for 2 years, my schedule is pretty tight. But if you're having a problem, all you have to do is say, have Dr. Kelly call me. Give them your number and I will determine. I have control over my schedule. So if it's just a well woman exam, you're supposed to be well, right? So if you're well, it could wait probably 6 months. But my schedule goes out like 6 months to a year now. But if you're having a problem, I can get you in. Just tell them that I only want, because our office will probably have you see someone else. And we have great providers in our office.
You do.
So if I'm not available, we have great providers. Our 2 nurse practitioners, one of them I trained. She's excellent. Her name is Jessica Cassandra. Dr. Rutledge is amazing. Dr. Grace Swain, she's an amazing doctor. Dr. Luco, Dr. White, if I'm not available. But if you want to hold out to see Dr. Kelly, just say, can you just have her call me and I can get you in. I do have space, but my schedule is controlled since Dr. Turner has retired.
Awesome. So before we go, what is something you absolutely want us to know?
I absolutely want you to know that taking care of your physical building, your mental building right up here in the head space, your environment is something that is so important, because I've found that if too many things are out of balance, most women don't have a spirit of wellness. And if you're unwell, you're not happy. You're not satisfied with life. You're not living up to your best potential. And I don't know about you, but for me, if my physical body was not doing what I needed to do, I know I would not be happy. I would not have a level of satisfaction. So don't be afraid. If there's something going on with your body that you don't understand, as I said before, I'm more afraid for you if you don't come in. So coming in sometimes is the saving grace that you need so that you can make it, so that your body can be in a place where you can enjoy life and be satisfied. So that would be the most important thing I would tell people.
Thank you.
Of course, you can come see Dr. Kelly.
Thank you. That's so important. Like I said, for so many reasons. I know we talk about our kids, but our spouses need us, our communities need us, our parents, like the world needs you
to be at our best.
And I appreciate you so much. I thank you for taking care of me all these years. I appreciate the level of care that you give. And you are absolutely right. When I come see you, I know that I'm going to be put straight where I need to be straight. And then I'm going to be celebrated where I need to be celebrated. And so I just thank you for being you.
Thank you so much, Kahala.
And thank you for coming on today. Will you come back?
Yes, I will. Without hesitation.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for tuning in today to Pros in Politics Podcast, where we are polished and poised for greatness and impact. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please come see us again next week. But in the meantime, please like, love, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you then. Bye-bye.